welcome. Today we're going to be exploring how AI is shaping education and what it means to be preparing students for the future where AI will play a big role in the workplace. My name's Jonathan. I am one of the founders of Dialogue Richmond, and I'll be here just moderating this conversation. I'm pretty excited because I think we're going to be diving into some areas that maybe people aren't talking about as much, or coming from a perspective where we don't get to really explore as much. I'm going to open up the floor if you want to maybe introduce yourself, your name, your role, maybe in education, and maybe any experience that you've had with AI.
My name is Kelly. I'm a grade 6 teacher and I'm administrator in a small independent school. I teach applied design skills and technology as part of my role, and I also work to help mentor teachers with professional development, and some of that includes what to do with AI and also how to utilize AI as an educator too. So I'm excited for our conversation today.
My name is Chloe. I'm an entrepreneur and also a founder of STEM Impact Society for Youth. I'm also a mother of 2 sons, teenagers, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
I'm just gonna maybe open us up with a little kind of more fun question. If you could describe AI in schools with maybe just one word if you can, or a short phrase, how would you describe that kind of connection that AI and schools have today, and maybe why?
I think I would say cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think running into something full-fledged with like not a full understanding of some of the ethical impacts, some of the developmental impacts for students and for children, some of the developmental impacts for ourselves in terms of neuroplasticity and what we can use AI for. So I'm optimistic about the possibilities and the advances that AI can have, but also cautious about the sober second thought of like what we're using it for, why, how, when, and what it replaces.
If I had to use one word, I probably will use innovative. Reason of using this word is we're at a very early stage of entering AI and incorporate AI into education. Innovative meaning that there's so much unknown, but then it's wide open.
And I were to ask a student the same question, how do you think a student, and you can take it from K to 12, however you want to interpret it, do you think a student would answer that question differently or use different phrases or different words compared to maybe the phrases and words that you guys have used just now? So if a student, maybe your sons or just any students you've worked with.
Really cool.
Really cool.
Really cool in robots.
Really cool.
Really cool in robots. My age level is like grade 6, upper intermediate, grade 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And they're like, when do I get a robot? And it's really cool that I can make something do something, or something can think for me.
Oh, okay.
If the school is already introduced on AI, using AI and how to use AI in AI literacy, they're probably going to describe as something a little taboo. Because there's a little, you shouldn't use this, you shouldn't use that. There's some limitations there for sure.
Yes.
And yet they found that it's really handy and it's really cool. So they kind of just were a little bit of a confused with this tool that they have in their learning.
So some students, you're thinking, might be maybe a little bit more aware and sensitive of the potential it has, and it might be causing a little bit of maybe some anxiety too, because they know some things may not be the best area to explore with it too. Hey.
And there's probably a bit of a tension between, what our students and what our children see in the media that they consume and what they see in the media that their parents consume. Do you know what I mean? And the conversations around the dinner table, or the conversations that they hear between adults about AI versus the conversations that they have with their friends, or, if they're a gamer, they play video games or any of that kind of stuff, the way that AI enters in their world and in their conversations versus what they hear the adults talking about, right?
I think one of the first questions I kind of want to explore and dive into, AI, as we've talked about, is kind of here. We use it, adults use it, children have started using it too, whether people view that as a positive or a negative. But I think one of the phrases that comes up now often is AI is described as a necessary evil. And so when we are in the field of education and we talk about students going through school and learning, I think that might be a core component of what might be kind of some of the learning they have to use in the future. Thinking about the future though, how does that phrase of AI as a necessary evil for education, how does that resonate with you when you imagine students maybe graduating later and entering an AI-driven economy?
I don't agree with that at this point. Maybe right at the beginning. When I tried myself what AI be able to do, then that did bring a little hesitation, like what else my children need to learn then, right? Everything AI will have the answer. I started to reflect my own growing up experience, when the calculator, the kind of a high functioning calculator started being implemented in the market and in the school, teacher considered that was something really bad because they're going to make you lose your fundamental math skill. Everything you were just counting on using the calculator. However, nowadays you look at those calculator, they save you a lot of time to doing those calculations and yet being able to have you to challenge you more high advanced problems in math, because math is way beyond just calculation. Then same thing, like right now we're at the crossroad of this AI. Yeah, it may replace, it might maybe not letting me use a certain skill that I still needed as for school traditionally. However, over time, I believe that you could assist if we use it as assistant, as a tool to help us to learn. I believe that the learning can take to a different level. I summed up. I don't think that's evil. Not at this stage.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think when we view it as a necessary evil, we're not viewing it as the tool. We're the ones who are using it, right? So do we have capacity for using it poorly? Absolutely, right? It can be a very good thing, but it can also be a very distorted thing in the way that we use AI. But I think if we view it as a necessary evil, we're losing the power that we have as the people who are operating it. Right. And maybe that's where some of the fear is too, right? Because then we have like that general intelligence AI or general something. So it's like the next level of AI that's going to be way more formative and way more like self-thinking and self-taught, right?
Much more independent.
Right. Yeah.
Like an entity of its own.
Yeah. A little bit more of the Isaac Asimov, like, self-thinking iRobot type AI, right? Regenerative AI and all of that, right? But I think right now, when we look at AI as a tool, it's not so much a necessary evil. It's we need to figure out how we're going to use it ethically, how we're going to use it appropriately, how we're going to set up our kids to use it appropriately.
So the fact that it could possibly even take our learning for our students to one even extra level once we actually know, but it's just more of the groundwork. How do we actually lay that groundwork for our students to know that? But also, I guess, if we're to kind of navigate this space, there is a lot of emotions to go through. I think you both have kind of addressed that too, saying there are some different emotions and concerns that people might have. So are there any like frustrations or anxieties that so you talked about how we have all these maybe other concerns about when AI is being used, there's these other concerns that people are bringing up. So there's might be some anxieties. Are there any other emotions that we have to help people process through before we can effectively use AI as a tool?
I think that's a special features of being in education. I'm sure Kelly will encounter a lot of parents' anxiety, rather than just a student's anxiety. Like some parents may see this just simply as, if my children don't know how to code, how to do robotic, they're not gonna have a job in the future. So there are different kind of things out there in the market in that kind of a form will project their comprehension and then make that into anxiety. So in the education, as a teacher, as an administrator, one of the emotion, I think is right now the most obvious one is from the parents. And then later the emotion from the children as well.
Yes. So right now, maybe most of the emotions that we're dealing with are mainly from the parents. and the expectations that they have with AI and the fears that they might have. And then later on, we might have a challenge where we might have to help some students maybe process some of the different emotions as they're interacting with this tool.
Right.
Yeah.
As a parent, you're always thinking about what's the future going to be like for your children, right? And then as educators, you're thinking the same thing, right? Like, how am I preparing my students? How am I helping to guide them to be ready for a society or an economy that isn't here yet? I remember getting internet for the first time and what that was like, right? And maybe that dates me a little bit, but having the access to the internet was a huge thing, right? And part of me wonders too, like, these conversations happened at the same time, right? What do we do with the internet? Is there a place for the internet in schools? Same with cell phones, right? Is there a place for cell phones? Should kids have cell phones? That's a little bit more current in our, in the last couple of years, right? That pushback of having cell phone free schools. And I think, there's definitely emotion tied to it. I think in any conversations I have with parents, when we start talking about, hey, we're going to be looking at some AI in class, it's always framed by helping our students who are digital natives, right? Yes. Who have been born into like a very digital world that is rapidly changing, and helping them build that digital literacy, but also build that digital discernment. One of the other things too about AI is that it's an asymmetrical relationship, right? Because we're getting stuff. AI isn't getting anything from us. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's freeing up brain space because I can use ChatGPT to do this for me or whatever. I'm gaining something from it. AI isn't really gaining anything from me. Not like when we have a conversation, we have a mutual, a mutual gaining from our conversation. So I think those conversations are definitely like emotive in that it's kind of like, how do I prepare my kid? How do I prepare my students? What's the future going to look like, right? But those conversations I think we've been having for hundreds of years when it comes to education. When we went into, the Industrial Revolution, and when we had like the movement from rural to urban and all of that, right? These similar conversations happen as we're kind of advancing, but as society and as economies are changing, and even global connectedness, right, has changed the way that we educate and the way that we hope to prepare our children.